Hey everybody, Ben and Beta here, and I have another unboxing and first impressions video of a battery system that I'll be using for overlanding, but also in my home. And so this is the Ecoflow River 2 Max. I chose this battery because it's a nice size for just pretty small, pretty easy to pick up. Nice size for the things I'm doing for overlanding, so I can take this along and charge all of my things, the cameras, that kind of stuff, but also phones, that type of thing. I can also use it for shower system whenever we pick one of those up. So wanted to have something like that for overlanding, which is great. But I've also really been interested in having some sort of a solar system. And we live in a townhouse right now, so we're not really sure if we want to put a solar system on this house because we're not sure if we're going to stay here long term or not. We may or we may not. So I just wanted to find something that maybe I could use here for now and see if it could charge a bunch of my stuff that I use every day, like my iPad, my computer, my phones, all of my other little devices that I plug in, charge every day, and just see if that powers everything, if it's easy to use with a solar panel. I did get that with that as well, and just see if it has any impact at all on the electricity bill, essentially. All right, so what do you get when you buy a battery system like this from Ecoflow? You're gonna get the battery itself, extremely well packaged, as you can see. You're also gonna get your manual, and it's pretty well written, good manual. You can check that out online if you want. You're going to get a DC cable, which plugs in the front here if you need to use that. You're going to get a DC charging cable, which plugs in the back. I'll show you that in a minute. And you get an AC charging cable as well. Again, 500 watt hour battery. And then because I bought a package, I also got a solar panel. You get the carrying case for the solar panel, and this also doubles as a stand for the solar panels. And I opted for the 160 kilowatt solar panels, and that's what these look like here. They have this sort of, it's a really nice textured material. I don't know how well it'll hold up outside, but so far it's been okay. And then you have your inverter cables. But what you don't have is a way to connect the solar panel to the battery. So I bought the system on Amazon as a package. You can also buy it from Ecoflow as a package. And when you get it, you have a solar panel and you have yourself a nice battery, but you can't connect the two of them together. That I see as kind of a problem. I knew that ahead of time because I had read some reviews, so I knew that was gonna be a problem. So I went on Amazon and I bought this guy right here. And this does allow me to connect it to my battery system. You should just know that if you're gonna buy one of these things, you're gonna need, and you buy a system with both the solar panels and the battery, you're gonna need some sort of cable. So the other thing is that was nice about buying this separately was I was able to get a 15-foot cable, and that'll be more than enough for what I'm trying to do here at home every day, and then it should be plenty for when we're overlanding. The other things you're gonna get for the solar panel are gonna be the manuals, and then there's some carabiners that I've already got on my system that hold that to the stand, essentially. So that's what you get with everything. All right, let's take a look at what comes on this Ecoflow battery in terms of ports. So on the right-hand side, we're gonna have our DC ports for things like the shower, for refrigerators, or for tire inflators, or anything else that runs off of DC. And then there's a couple of DC plugs down here, which are a little bit of a different type, but you did get that cable to go along with that, and you get adapters for that as well. Then on the top left side, you're gonna find your USB ports. There are 3 of the USB type A's and one 100 watt USB-C port. And then along the bottom, you've got your AC. You have your screen, which tells you how much charge you currently have, how many hours you have left, as well as how much power is coming in or going out. The other thing you get with the Ecoflow is the ability to use the application, and the application works great. The setup of it was very, very quick and easy. And when I've used it to just check flow of energy one way or another, or just to see what's going on with the battery or update it with the firmware, everything has worked great with that as well. Lastly, you've got your AC port on this side, and then you've got where you plug in your solar or your DC on this side. When the unit arrived, it had about 28% state of charge. I used that to charge up this watch and a couple of other devices, and I charged my computer a couple of times and ran the battery down to around 7 or 8% on the first day. After I ran the battery down, later in the day, the cables to connect the solar panels to the battery were delivered. This was around 4 o'clock. So 4:30, I connected the solar panels up just to see what they would do late in the day. This is late September, almost October at this point. I was pulling somewhere between 60 to 75 watts, something like that for the most part. So it actually charged pretty quickly until the sun started to die down behind the mountains. On day 2, I set the solar panels back up around 7:45 in the morning. And the sun was just coming up over the hills. It took about an hour before it got full sunlight, and I did move the solar panels around a little bit throughout the day. But as you can see in the footage, there's a time lapse from starting to 15% all the way to 100. It took about 4.5 hours in total. We didn't start pulling really good numbers until closer to 9 a.m. or so. When I was in the full sun, again, late fall, we were getting up to 128 watts of power. That was the highest, but we ranged anywhere from actually about 11 in the morning all the way up to that in the afternoon. But a 120 was a pretty steady pull most of the day. And that would take about 4 hours because this is a 512 watt battery, and that makes sense. So I was not unhappy with those numbers. It might be a little bit different in full out summer. There were no clouds in the sky, but again, in 4 hours, charging up is great. And then I left it charging, and I charged my computer completely back up, and I started charging my iPad. I charged a GoPro, and I just left them charge off of solar essentially. And so the battery, you can see the state is still at 100%. A lot of times it feels like when you have a battery like this, even if just the display is on, you can see the numbers ticking down. But so far it's worked really well. I've been very impressed with this system. In the day or so I've been using it, I have no issues, no faults, no problems at all. So you might be wondering, why did I choose this battery? There are a lot of batteries out there. You've got batteries from Ecoflow in different ones in this line, in a higher line, in a lower line, older batteries, newer batteries. It's kind of crazy. Then you've got companies like Bouge RV, which I think makes some pretty good products. Anchor makes good products. Jackery makes good products, and there's many more. I think it's actually pretty hard to choose a bad battery at this point because there's so much competition. But Ecoflow seemed to have a good application, had a good reputation, and the price was really good, especially for this unit. So I paid about $600 for this battery and the solar panel, and then the cable was about another $30 to connect the two things together. Another reason that I chose Ecoflow, no matter which battery I would have gone with or which company I would have gone with, the most important part was that the battery was lithium iron phosphate. I wanted something that was going to last 10 years, not a lithium ion battery, which was a little bit cheaper. So that was important. I plan on using this as a backup battery in the future for our overlanding setup, but also in the house. I likely will get a little bit bigger battery. That might be from Ecoflow, but I might be willing to try something from Bouge RV or Anchor or whatever, just to see what the difference in the battery is. That I'll probably get also with its own solar panel, so I can charge both independently. But when we're overlanding, I'm gonna have one system that's hooked up to the refrigerator and maybe some things in the back of the vehicle, powering all the lights, that kind of stuff. And then I need a backup battery and something that I can take out for the shower, that kind of stuff. So that's what this would be for. This seems like a pretty good way to go for me. It charges relatively fast and has plenty of power for all the devices that I'm gonna be using it with. So then I can use this battery for a couple of days until I need to charge it back up again, which is great. A couple of other quick impressions. Everything that I plugged into it has charged perfectly fine. The 100 watt USB-C port charges very quickly and charges my laptop very well. So that was great. The one thing I would say that's I wasn't expecting, I'm not gonna say it's good or bad, is that the fans run a lot on this. So you're gonna, wherever you put it, if you're sitting right next to it, you're gonna definitely hear it. Necessarily think it's a bad thing. It's going to need to keep itself cool, and that's fine. But that is something I wasn't expecting, so it's a little bit louder than you might think it's going to be if you buy one of these. I don't know what it's like with other batteries because I haven't tested those, but a little bit loud. Not terrible though. So talking about the solar panels a little bit, they seem pretty robust for the most part. These ends down here seem to have bent a good deal, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. They do seem pretty sturdy. When it's set up, most of the support is in the very middle, and it would be nice if it's a little bit wider, but so far that's not really been a problem either. It's worked as advertised, I would say. My goal is to see if the system has an impact on my electric bill. It may have a little one, may have a big one. I'm kind of curious to see how much charging all of my devices actually costs me or can save me. So again, this was $600. This might take years to pay off, but it's a 10-year battery system, so maybe it'll be good. So those are my impressions of the Ecoflow River 2 Max and the Ecoflow 160 watt solar panel. I'll update you on how this works out over the course of the next several months, show you some electric bills to see if it's actually making any kind of progress or not, and just let you know if it's holding up as well. So you'll get that in the next few months, and then I'll do a longer term review too. So I want to just say thank you for watching. If you could, hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. But no matter what, remember to live your life in beta, and I'll see you next time.